Instagram Live, but it's the hello, everybody. We've got the overlay on right now. We're just getting everything retweeted on. Here in a second. All right, welcome in for Big Cat Day here live at Santa Anita Park. Our plan was to be down outside at Clocker's Corner and boy, Mother Nature had other ideas. I'm Louie Rabo at Radio Louie on the socials. You can find us at Forest Happy Hour. However you're hanging out for the show today, we really do appreciate you making us part of your Big Cat Day out here live at Santa Anita. Standing next to me are Sean Collins and Barry Spears. We will be sure to drag them into the broadcast here. We want to thank our friends at Stocks Mortgage for being our presenting sponsor on this trip. Hanging out with them through the Ruby and the Bluegrass Stakes as well. Appreciate them hanging out with us on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Bringing Barry Spears, our handicapper on the trip here. Of course, you know him from SoCal Saturdays on this show. Barry, if you had to describe how windy it is, you're from Florida. Is this like Florida level BS that we're dealing with today? I mean, there's got to be a kind of. By the way, can you see the levels? Do I look like the levels look normal on our little mixer? Yeah. Okay, good. How about that? All right, a little mixed up. Yeah, there you go. Something.
I think the weather is terrible. As far as the wind goes, everything else is perfect.
Terrible.
It was really windy this morning. It's still windy now.
Yep.
Supposedly it's supposed to stop, so that's going to be.
Is that something that affects your handicapping as you go into a day like this? Are you trying to figure out if there's a tailwind, a headwind, if it's going to affect sprinters, or are you going to do what I'm going to do, which is watch races 1, 2, 3, see if there's an effect on closers, front runners, whatever?
Yeah, I'm going to take the wait and see it's early, but we'll see how the riders are riding the track and everything else. And I think that ends up making things a little bit of a rider sort of situation where they're going to be more of the focus than the horses. Placement is always key.
Yeah, we'll have to see where things go, especially in that early part of the card, as I mentioned. Give us some ideas of how the track is playing and all of those other things as well. Sean, you can. Oh, the music's still playing. It's a good point by Sean, actually. It's a good point. I don't have the headphones on. It is a great point by Sean, so we will turn that off as we move through the rest of the show. Appreciate you producing on the fly. You could also just come talk to me. It's a podcast. This isn't Blood Horse. We don't have to pretend that it's Blood Horse. We don't have to pretend that, Anna's here yelling at us about how good this is or isn't. It's all right. You understand me, Barry Spears?
No,
we're just having fun. We're out here
Saturday.
hanging out. That's exactly right. Just because I wear button-down shirts doesn't mean that we have to be, it's the show. The show is more like Barry looks, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
It's more casual. And that's what I'm getting. Okay. All right. So a bunch of stakes on the card today. Is there someone you're in particular looking forward to see?
Yeah, actually, there's a horse in race 6 that I do like.
So in the main special weight, we'll get to that later in the show. Yep.
And one in the San Felipe that I like quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Yes. And your top pick, I imagine, in the San Felipe as well. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that maiden special race as the second part of this show. We'll start with the Beholder Mile here, but that maiden special is one of those races, Barry, on a day like Big Cap Day, that those of us who play the horses, we love these kinds of races because what happens is 20,000 people are going to show up today, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a local owner here and you get a chance to run in front of 20,000 instead of the 2,000 that were here yesterday, right? Something like that. Right. It makes these cards even better. And so, Barry, for us, for horse players, sometimes it's the undercard or the nightcap that we go, okay, all right, there's 11 horses in here. I might be able to make something out of this, even if, say, a big cap comes up a little less.
Yeah, I mean, we're opportunists as
that's right.
As bettors, and we seize the opportunities no matter what the race is.
Yep.
So even the big ones, as disappointing as it may be that field was decimated, there are other really good opportunities to make money, and we're just going to capitalize.
Beholder Mile is race 4 today, Barry. It's a grade 1. Splendora is back off of her win in the Lucas last out. Of course, we saw her before both of these races at 7 furlongs in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint as well. Before that, of course, did win over the mile course of Del Mar in the Tranquil Lake. I know for you, she lays over this field by quite a bit, frankly. And Barry, I think an important thing whenever I handicap with you on big days, and we might have some people watching that aren't usually with us, is you and I are different. I care about turns, you don't. Mm-hmm. So the move from 7 to 8 furlongs to you, not a big deal for Splendora today.
No,
yeah?
not at all. She's finished up strong in most of her races, and she's speedy. So she can be where she wants. She has the birthday boy, Juan Hernandez, aboard, and I think she's going to really, really put on a show today.
Shout out who star of SoCal Saturdays, so Juan Hernandez. That's exactly right. He's great. Nice enough to take a photo with us down at Del Mar over Breeders' Cup as well. But Splendora in this field, by the way, I wanted to point out she's probably now that Mindframe is retired, probably the best Maryland bred in training. So that's kind of a fun thing to see out here, of course, in the Bob Baffert barn. You can always tell with Baffert who his most serious two-turn horses are because they work this 4-5-6, 5-6 kind of pattern in the workouts. She's there. She's doing all those kinds of things. He uses those 4 to get a little gate speed in them, but then he uses those 6 to make sure they're maintaining that speed afterward. She checks all the boxes here.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Baffert's a master at getting his horses prepared to go 2 turns or even longer than they really want to. I've seen him get the most out of horses that probably shouldn't be going as far as they should. And I think this is one of those situations. This horse has gotten really good in the past, like 5 months. So I think she's ready to explode here.
Who do you like after her in this race if we were trying to play, say, a Cold Exact or something like that?
I actually like the other Bob Baffert horse, the 6, Nafisa. She has a lot of speed, and I think she's pretty much the target for Splendora, who I think needs a target. Nafisa is going to make sure that she has one. I'm just a little worried about the price, that she might attract a little bit more attention. But if she's 8-1, I'm all in on that exacta.
Yeah, no, that's a fun one too. And she wins the La Canada, which is the prep for this race, essentially, right? The mile and a 16th, the grade 3 for this condition. Interesting to see her here at Splendora getting the 7 furlong race before this one. We've at least seen Nafisa over the 2 turns. That's pretty attractive to me, but comes in 3-game winning streak, 3-game win streak in general in races. I think she's a good right now.
One of the things about Nafisa that we've talked about before with Rodriguez is that they weren't really trying to run her to win. It didn't seem like she was running with a lot of Bob Baffert's other horses, but then the last 3 she got on her own and she showed what she can do. So these horses that are quote unquote rabbits for Bob Baffert aren't slouches at all.
Yeah, and this one was on the turf for much of her career, 0 for 8 on the turf, a bunch of second place finishes there, moves to the dirt, and has been in the trifecta 6 of 7 runs. Anyone else in this group stand out to you? I mean, I know Almond Joy is kind of a cool story here with Aggie Ordonez. We're rooting for her for sure. This is one that we saw win the Torrey Pines, going the 2 turns mile, frankly, at Del Mar. She got a shot here?
Yeah, she could get the trip. I mean, there is plenty of speed in here. Simply Joking has some speed. Dancing Move was definitely going to go to the front or try to. Yep. Almond Joy might slip into a really nice trip behind Splendora and show up in the picture.
Yeah, no, she's a fun one for sure. Calbred out here. We'll see a number of those, and frankly, I think some shots today, which is really interesting and kind of fun. A little bit of a Calbred renaissance, I think, going on right now. We're seeing some of them cross over from those Calbred stakes, especially out here to win grade 3s, different things. Almond Joy checks that box, having won the Torrey Pines just this last fall at Del Mar. Race 6 on the card today is a maiden special weight, and we are always interested in who the next horse might be, Barry. And so we'll go ahead and talk about that one right now. But this is a field, Barry, that you and I went through on SoCal Saturdays yesterday. You still have plenty of time to go watch that episode if you would like to. But this is one where, I mean, what does Baffert have? 3 in here?
3. O'Neill has 2.
Yep. Jonathan Thomas has an interesting first-timer. Captain Shreve is back. And by the way, all of the hype around Potente is built around him beating Captain Shreve, who's 5-1 in this field. I mean, that's what we're dealing with in this race. Just a spectacular one.
Yeah, this is a loaded maiden race for 3-year-olds, and I think the fireworks will be on display. I think there's a lot of speed in this race, and it could go a lot of different directions. Myself personally, I would never want to take a favorite in a race like this.
So Memory, the likely favorite here. We see Baffert and Juan Hernandez. We just kind of assume debut runner. They're going to be great. This was a Los Al horse until a couple of weeks ago, Barry, but moved over to Santa Anita. You can't deny those gate works. There's nothing about that says that this horse shouldn't be competitive today. Is it simply just, hey, first time something could go wrong, the value's just not there? Is that essentially it? We got 10 horses here. Yeah. Captain Shreve's a good horse, for instance. Is it more that kind of logic here?
Yeah, I mean, Captain Shreve really has one way of going, and it's to the front. Yeah. And from the outside, everybody's going to have to get involved to kind of keep up with that horse. If they can't, you'll see it really quickly. But I think that opens things up for a horse to come off the pace. My pick on top, personally, we're going to be number 6, Deep Tracks.
Okay, Mike Smith rides for Peter Urton. What do you like about this one?
A lot of good works after that first run. They didn't get the best of trips in that Captain Shreve race. And I think the workout pattern.
This was the third place finisher in the Potente, Captain Shreve race. That's exactly right.
And I think that race is pretty live. Between those top three in this race, they should be pretty tough. But I like the going long. The 5 furlong works, and they're not super duper fast, which makes me think that this horse might be able to rate a little bit off the pace and then finish strong. That's what I'm looking to see. 8-1, we get that. Sizzle time, baby.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm going to shoot on Gallatin here, man. The 8-horse son of Authentic in this spot. Jonathan Thomas been pretty good recently with first-time starters. Armando Ayuso gets the mount here. Most recent work is a bullet. Tons of workers that day at the end of February. But what I like here, Barry, is a 12-1 price. I'll take 12-1 on a first-timer in this kind of race. I'm going to give that one a shot, at least, include it in some exacta boxes, try to move it around in a couple different ways. Because I'm with you. If you're willing to just close your eyes, hold your nose, whatever it is, and toss Emery out of your top 2 and just go for it this way, you might hit a nice exacta.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, wild things happens in a race like this, especially with good horses. Sometimes it's the time to beat them is first time out, second time out, because then they get good and you won't touch them. So that's what I'm kind of looking for here, is for Memory kind of stub his toe or not run his best and somebody else pick up.
Yeah, son of Uncle Mo there, a $775,000 purchase at the Keeneland September sale back in 2024. I do want to bring in Sean Collins here for at least a little bit of a discussion on this maiden race here, Sean. So get in here, buddy. Now that this maiden race is out of the way, let's talk a little bit of San Felipe before we get too far into this card. Of course, you guys know Sean from Blood Horse Monday, hanging out with me every Monday there on that program. In the drops in the evenings, usually around 5 o'clock. So go ahead and find us out
4 or 5 p.m. Eastern, somewhere
ish.
Depends how much editing you make me have to do by how much we jump around on the show.
There's a lot of jumping around for sure, but this San Felipe, we see a bunch of different interesting storylines, and we'll talk in a minute about the viability of the big cap at this time of year and what what the landscape of that, what we used to call the handicap division, the older dirt mail division, whatever we want to call it, what it means to have this race. I think the San Felipe, we're not very far from this being the highlight race of the day. Do you agree with me?
No, I think this is the highlight race of the day. And for one, that's because obviously the Kentucky Derby points are on the line when it comes to this. But also, it's just a phenomenal race. Yeah, as you mentioned, there's a couple interesting storylines. You have the question whether or not So Happy's going to be able to get the distance. You have the question as far as Brandt goes, is he going to be the same horse we saw in the Del Mar Futurity? Or are we going to see kind of the version of him that showed up in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile? And how good is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile? So I think this is probably the one that could be the most open-ended of the races today.
Of those horses in this group, which one do you trust the most to do it? Is it So Happy getting the distance, or would it be a Brandt coming back and repeating that form as a 2?
I trust So Happy more than I trust Brandt coming into this. You and I talked to Mike Smith on Blood Horse Monday a few weeks ago. He seems confident that the horse is going to be able to handle the stretch out and distance. Yep. Everybody's questioning that because of the Run Happy pedigree here, but Run Happy sire Super Saver, Kentucky Derby winner,
always
out of a Blame mare. So
lots of distance in that pedigree.
Distance
even if Dad was a great sprinter, that's right.
And we never really got to see Run Happy take a real legitimate shot at anything longer. I
think
he ran a mile one time, kind of toward the end there, where he maybe wasn't at his peak. So we still don't know, and so we'll see what happens. He was So Happy. I think the way that he won the San Vicente was impressive, and it looked like a horse that should be able to stretch out that little extra distance to that mile and the 16th. And so I think that I'm more confident in him of those two for sure. Brandt, as far as when we're looking at kind of the races he's coming out of, I'm starting to be a little suspicious as to how well these Breeders' Cup Juvenile horses are going to do as we get into the 3-year-old season. Obviously, Ted Nafi is off the Derby trail, so we won't really get to see him for a while. Mr. AP is off the Derby trail, so we won't get to see him. But like Litmus Test just got beat last week coming out of this race. Blackout Time, who I know scratched from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but was considered to be kind of one of the major contenders in the race, did not really run well when he came back in the Rebel. And I just feel like we haven't really seen those horses that have come out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile perform well. Brandt, they missed the Rebel Stakes with him. Bob Badford said they were a little behind in training him. And even though this is a week later, I don't want to hear that on an even money favorite going into this race, that they were behind training him and missed a race last week. Could he be ready to go? We'll see. I do. I'm kind of cautious, though. I'm a little cautious when it comes to him.
Potente would be the first second-time starter since when?
Yeah, I think 1990s.
Okay, so I mean, it's been a very long time. I was a young person when that happened.
I wasn't alive yet.
Your parents may not have known each other when that happened, but but a horse like Potente, Does it mean anything to you, for example, that Brant has Florent Giroux aboard and Flavien Prat had them out last time? Potente is in here. Juan Hernandez gets them out for Bob Baffert. Kazuchi Kimura was aboard last time, so that doesn't matter. Are you surprised to see Juan on Potente rather than Brant?
Not necessarily, just because we have seen Florent on a couple of Bob's horses already. If this was like his first one that he was suddenly on, I would put more into that. The fact that Juan's on Potente rather than Brant. But the fact that Bob's already been willing to put Florent on some of his good horses, for me, that doesn't necessarily take away from Brant here. But I do find it interesting that Juan Hernandez is on Potente.
Yep.
Obviously, we've seen Bob be able to do this stretch out before the 6 furlongs and then in a maiden win coming back. Justify you think of because of that same timeline where if he ends up running in the Derby, Potente would be on that 4th start, having probably run in the Santa Anita Derby. Now, Justify was an allowance race, not the San Felipe.
Right.
So there's a difference with that. But it seems like a trend where he's been successful at in the past. So out of the 2 Bafferts, I do like Potente a little bit more.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The 3rd Baffert in here, of course, is Secured Freedom trained by Tim Yakteen. Dan Blacker has the 2 horses
Baffert
on the
extended.
inside. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. But Robusta on the outside, by the way, an interesting one to me, just so everybody knows, the 7 horse in here, because obviously Jaramillo is riding here. This is one that did break its maiden going a mile before. It just wasn't ready, I think, for the Lewis. Hopefully gets back. Son of Accelerate, man. We've seen crazier things than Accelerate's winning out in this kind of race. Yeah. So hopefully we see
Cap Day. That was really the last good winner of the Big Cap. So might as well have the son run well here on this day.
That's exactly right. But a fun field, I think, for the San Felipe. Do you have any thoughts about the Santa Anita handicap? Because I'm going to ask you about it in just a minute. We're going to drag Barry back in here to give his official pick for the San Felipe. So we'll get you back in here.
We'll come back in.
All right. Okay. There you go. This is the Horse Racing Happy Hour presented by Stockton Mortgage. Moved inside because of windy conditions here at Santa Anita Park. We're amongst the horse players because where else would this podcast be? Never. This is it. This is all we do. San Felipe, who you got on top, brother?
I like Secured Freedom quite a bit in this race. I think they stand to get a really good trip.
I love this place.
If you saw the Lewis last time, this horse was really wide, about 4 wide the whole way around. Finished up well. And again, I'm not a huge gallop out guy, but this horse finished out in front of the two that finished in front of them. And I think that bodes well for the nice class not class relief, post relief this time. Should get a great trip.
What's interesting about Secured Freedom, too, is, a lot of times you and I, on SoCal Saturdays, we talk about this a lot where a horse is trying something for the second time. Sometimes there's a learning curve for horses, and maybe going the 2 turns was something he had to figure out. It wasn't a distance issue, like you said. It wasn't. The gallop out was there, and frankly, he closed into those 2 top runners by the time he got into the stretch. Might just be something where he's got to learn, I'm doing this twice, right, kind of thing, and maybe a little bit better today.
Yeah, I think he got a little tired, too. I mean, he really ran a lot farther than everybody else. Plutarch was very good that day.
Yes.
The race really didn't set up for him. This one sets up a lot better. There's more speed up front. The post again, I think they stand to get a really.
You're on Secured Freedom here. The 4, 5, and 6 are likely favorites here. Brant, Potente, and So Happy. Of those 3, who do you like the most?
So Happy. That horse really impressed me last time in that win in the San Vicente, and I think they can build upon it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how far this horse really wants to go. I'm not overly confident that this horse wants to go too much farther than what they've gone, but we'll see.
It's an interesting race for sure. Let's go to the Big Cap, unless you've got a big opinion in the Kill Row.
No, I do not.
Don't have a big opinion in the
Not
Kill
a big
Row.
opinion, no.
Okay.
A opinion always, but not a big one.
You've got the 3 on, or no, you've got you're going to try Almendarez in here.
Yeah, he ran great in the Pegasus.
I did want to ask you about Almendarez because you saw that horse in Miami.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he ran great that day.
Yep.
Better than expected. I mean, he was 37-1, but even beyond that, I think he was labeled as a miler. He went a mile and an eighth. Now cutting back, I think he stands to get a really good trip. Test score is no joke. One Stripe really ran well that day, so I think he's going to.
Tyler's going to have to get him involved a little earlier if he's going to catch up with this field, because El Potente, for example, is going to get out of the gate and frankly finish the Thunder Road in $133 and change. The early fractions were 22 and change and 46 and change. Almendarez suggestion: do not fall far behind, because you're going to have something. You're going to have a target. You're going to have a fast target in El Potente, but do not fall behind in that race, because boy, that pace up front, he's able to do it.
Yeah,
that's the horse, and that's I assume that's why they tried him down the hill. because they just assumed because that early pace he'd get even more of it and be able to carry it out. But Hector Berrios, of course, aboard El Potente, who I am picking on top here in this race. I'm very fascinated to see mi hermano Ramon back after this amount of layoff at this distance. And if you look at how they're working him fast. So I think they're going to try to have him right up on the pace with El Potente.
I hope so, because that sets it up very, very well for Armendariz. if we can get anybody to run with El Potente, we might have a shot.
There you go. Under cover here, out of the wind at Santa Anita Park. This is the horse racing happy hour.
Change.
Louis Rabot and Barry Spears, he was actually nude, and I don't know if that's okay. You know what? Maybe that's the thing you can do in California. You can't smoke anywhere. Can't do anything.
Can't do it in Florida. You could do it in Florida, but it's consequences.
Yeah. I feel like nudity out here would be better looking than Florida.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like Florida
plastic,
nudity. Yeah,
that's good.
We'll deal with the plastic.
I'm okay with that. Aesthetically, it works.
Let's get Sean in here. Let's go 3 wide for this conversation, because I want to talk about the handicap, the big cap itself, and I want to talk about.
We get to the big cap, let me just say, I mean, is there an easier double to pick than Potente El Potente?
You know what? This is a great job by you.
Yes,
this is a great job.
I mean, I feel like that you have to bet that double. Don't you?
Pays attention to detail.
He does. Yeah, I feel like that's just destined.
It's a good job by you.
Yeah, that's just the fact that those two are in consecutive races. I feel like it's just.
I don't know. Somehow that would make me mad a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, you can be mad. I will cash in.
All right.
So let's go ahead. Let's talk about this big cap. And obviously, the field comes up light, so everyone gets in their feelings about the race and what it is and all of these things. And one of the things I hate the most in horse racing is getting lectured by people 20 years older than me about how things used to be. Guess what? It ain't used to be. It's now. Okay. That's where we live. That's where I live. That's where I have to operate. That's how I have to make a living. So stop telling me about how it used to be. The big cap was the marquee grade 1 out west at this time of year. This was the biggest day on the calendar for Santa Anita Park for many, many years. The Derby is now more important. It's okay. The Santa Anita Derby is more important than the big cap. It's all right. It's all the things. What it does, though, is we still get these great races on this day, right? And so it fills in the day that way. Given the fact that it does fill in the other races on this day, and it does have a historic spot with the San Felipe aside it, with the Kilrow, all those good races that we also get, the Beholder Mile on this day. Should they keep it here, or is it in the best interest of the race to actually move it to another time? Given look, we didn't think about Dubai having 8-figure races and Saudi Arabia having 8-figure races when the big cap was in its heyday. You never would have imagined that $1 million race here would ever decline, right? And so instead, we're dealing with a race that may need to move times of year. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is, now I get your point about the big race day aspect.
Right.
We're getting to the point where I think the San Felipe is such a big Derby prep. You could almost kind of use the San Felipe as the anchor of this card. And so if you want to move the big cap, because the thing I'm looking at is if you look at the last couple of years, this thing's in danger of losing its grade 1 status.
No doubt about it.
When it loses the grade 1 status, you'll probably see the purse drop again down to that 200K point. So if you want to preserve some of the history of the race and try to preserve it as the big race, as you said, back when, it was founded at this time of year, we didn't have Dubai, we didn't have Saudi Arabia, right. And now that
you were guaranteed good weather here, where other parts of the country you might have been running just simply didn't, right? Kentucky, New York, etc. This was a good spot to be able to win.
And even just the Saudi Cup came along in 2020. Just like even those last couple of years before that, this was still, you could still use this as a lead into the Dubai World Cup.
Yes.
So Dubai being there wasn't necessarily a problem. Now that the Saudi Cup is where it is, now that the Pegasus is kind of, maybe taking some horses as well, I'm not sure how much that really is an impact, but the Saudi Cup and the Dubai World Cup are obviously taking a big impact on this race. If those two races didn't exist, you'd see Nisos here, you'd see Nevada Beach here, you would see Hit Show coming out here. Yeah. You would see those horses being here in this race. And now there's other options and there's richer options. And for those are horses that are going to have to, well, Nisos wouldn't have to ship, but like a horse like Hit Show is going to have to ship no matter what. So ship out to the one that's worth more money. So you're going to see a lot of horsemen kind of going off that. If you now kind of looking at the way the racing schedule is, the after Dubai World Cup is very light for older horses in the handicap division. A lot of them end up going to the Met Mile, and sometimes I feel like that distance is not necessarily the best for a lot of horses. You look at Fierceness and White Avario last year. And so I think if you put this in a spot, I know we were talking the other day, you put it in a spot like the Saturday before the Derby or something, the Kentucky Derby, put it at the end of April, or, maybe even put it, kind of in that May zone, Memorial Day time, and then you move the Hollywood Gold Cup somewhere. Maybe you put the Hollywood Gold Cup here instead. But that way it kind of gets where some of the top horses across the country, they're coming out of those Middle East races. They're looking for a spot, ahead of the Stephen Foster, ahead of Saratoga, ahead of the Pacific Classic, and you could put them in this big historic Grade 1 spot. I think if you want to look at the longevity of the race itself and keeping it at that top level, I think that would be kind of move it later in the spring would be a good idea.
Well, frankly, Barry, they run the Santa Isabel tomorrow. They could run that today. And they can make it. They could just make these. Let's be clear about it. I know they're trying to get people here on a Sunday. Santa Isabel is not the kind of race that's going to draw thousands of people by itself, right? It just isn't, and it's okay to say out loud. But if it were on a day like today, we would all see it. And there'd be 20,000 people at the Santa Isabel. So I do think there's a way to, even just move the dates around and frankly just have a San Felipe kind of theme day today.
Right. Times change, things change, and the industry has to change with it. Being able to adapt and call an audible and move this race to better fit the schedule and everybody else's would be fantastic. So hopefully it does get done or thought about it at the very least.
Right.
And we'll be able to move forward. I mean, there really isn't a distance race for older horses. I mean, like you said, you go to the Met Mile. That's a mile race. Not every horse wants to do that. They may want to go longer. Right. And this fits perfectly and would probably be best suited towards like May, April, late April.
You put this race in late April, kind of end of May, and you might pull Sovereignty in a year like this, where he's not going to make the Dubai World Cup. You're going to pull a Journalism potentially, in a race like this. These horses, because that's the other aspect of it too. Not only do you have the Middle East races, you have the horses that pause after the Breeders' Cup. And then if they're not ready in time for the Middle East races, they essentially don't really have that many options, not many Grade 1 options available to them, unless they were looking at Journalism potentially going shorter in the Met Mile. That's kind of their top goal. If the Santa Anita handicaps 2 months later, is there a different top goal then? Is he then pointing toward this race rather than pointing to the Met Mile? So I think that plays a role in it too.
Just a touch. He's very good at not finishing first.
In graded stakes races, he's very good at finishing first in non-graded.
You know what? He's 3 for 10 with 5 second-place finishes, Barry. You and I put him on top, I think, by default in this race.
Yeah.
To be fair to our handicapping, which for this race was very unimaginative. Who beats him, though, if he doesn't win?
I'd like to give Midnight Mammoth a shot and also Vodka Vodka. I think Vodka Vodka actually is the beneficiary of the Skippy Longstocking scratch.
Okay.
They wanted probably the same trip, and getting that trip might be the best trip if, the scenario would be a speed duel between Just a Touch and Getaway Car, and thinking that Getaway Car can't really last either. One of those two horses should be able to pick them up.
On Malibu Day, so opening day, which got pushed to the 28th, we saw Vodka Vodka in that Laughing Picard Jr. It's a grade 2 here, of course, won by Nisos. If Nisos and Nevada Beach were in this field, they would be the top 2 favorites, and that's all we would be talking about. We would be saying what a great big cap this is. Does Vodka Vodka get a pass for you in that race? Because ain't nobody of that quality in here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Nothing like that in this race. I mean, Just a Touch is nice, but
sure,
the distance is definitely a question.
What do we make of British Isles? We're getting beaten over the head with our guy Sebastian last night about British Isles on this one. He's got this horse on top. You saw that one in Miami at the Pegasus World Cup. Is there a world in which this one gets a better trip and is actually a contender in this one?
There could be. I mean, this could fall apart and this horse could come running late. I just personally think this horse is a better turf horse. Probably isn't suited for the dirt, but we'll see.
Getaway Car, is it distance that you don't like here?
The whole package. I just don't think this horse is this caliber. I mean, definitely if they're able to shake loose somehow, they could go wire to wire, but it'd be a tough task.
Does Just a Touch get over the hump today?
No, I've been to too many of his races where he should have won and he didn't, and so I've never really been on his bandwagon, especially after a lot of these races. Like look at the Monmouth Cup last year. Yeah, you and I were there for that.
Race.
Yeah, that's a race he should not have lost. I've been making the joke to you guys throughout the weekend that it seems like somebody tells him that it's a graded race and he gets nervous and throws it at the end of the race. So I'm not confident. What Barry said about Getaway Car. I think he does get loose potentially here.
Okay.
And when you have a field like this where the quality is questionable, I mean, do we really have to look that much further than whoever Bob Baffert threw in here? Which horse he decided was worthy to get the shot this weekend. So we'll see. I know he was second to Westwood last time, going to mile and an eighth. So I could see some of Barry's concerns here on the distance, but I just feel like he could potentially get that trip on the lead. Nobody really go after him. And
let's go ahead.
Taking it.
Let's go ahead and we will say goodbye to Sean Collins.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Sean's moving races, changing calendars, doing all the stuff. Let's go through the individual races that we just covered. And you tell people your top pick and then who you would include in any kind of sequence. So a double, a pick 3, whatever it might be, all the way up to pick 5. By the way, my preview of this race day, I should say, is up at the Sporting Tribune. I did a preview of that San Felipe Stakes and the late pick 5 ticket as well with my A picks for the sequence. You're welcome to go find that again, Sporting Tribune, thesportingtribune.com. It's available on my Twitter feed as well, at Radio Louie. Beholder Mile, who do you have on top? And who would you use in a multi-wager sequence? Would you use more than Splendora?
Yes, I'd use probably Splendora and Nafisa.
Okay.
Only.
Okay. But in the early pick 5 or something, you would definitely have both of those?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
It is your cold exacta here, 4-6?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cold 4-6.
And you definitely know how I play, so you see the cold exactas all day long.
I hang out with you a lot. The race 6 is that maiden special weight. Who is your top pick?
The 6. Deep Tracks.
Deep Tracks is your top play in here. Second-time starter. Obviously was in the barn of John Sheriff's, who passed away recently. Mark Glatt picking up the training, Peter Urton picking up this particular trainee. Will stay in here. 8-1 on there. Who else would you include, though? Is it a lot of horses? Is it like grab the Bafferts and him and go away, or what are you doing?
I would go deep in this race.
Okay.
Use all the Bafferts and maybe a couple of others. But, yeah, this is definitely a race you want to spread. Try not to use chalk because that typically doesn't work out in these kind of things.
All right. Man, this Mark Glatt, Duke Silver was my other, looking at this, couldn't get over it kind of horse. Duke Silver, Gallatin are both
There's a lot of horses that could jump up and win the
no doubt about it. All right, race 8, the San Felipe itself. Your top pick in the Derby prep is?
The 3, Secured Freedom.
Yep.
I might single that horse, to be honest.
Good for you. Okay.
Usually that's as a betting mantra. That's usually what you want to try to do is single a horse that's going to be a non-favorite, 5 or 6-1 higher, and that this one fits that bill, and I think they're going to be close to that.
If someone thought of Just a Touch as a single, how much would you go ahead and spread in this one if we're playing the late sequence?
I wouldn't go too deep here.
Okay.
I mean, Secured Freedom, Brant, Potente probably would be the 3 I would go with.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. What do you make us So Happy in this spot?
I like So Happy, but there's a question on the distance that I can't get over.
Okay.
He's definitely a horse that can definitely get to win against this caliber of horse, but I'm not sure it's going to be at this distance.
Any world in which Robusta jumps up today?
No, I don't like that horse at all.
Like
I know Harmeo might make that horse might make more of an impact than the morning line would suggest because of the fact they're going to be speed. If they can get, anywhere around Brant and Potente, they might affect the outcome of this race for sure.
We're talking about Vodka. What do you make us start the ride in here, the Cal Brent?
Home team ran really good.
Really good.
Out and
breaking maiden in a stakes race.
Exactly. That's kind of rare, but why not? I mean,
I agree.
I like long shots. I would never talk anybody off that one, but me personally, I'm not going to include that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Declared a non-starter in his first start there at Del Mar, so technically 1-for-1 lifetime coming into this one. In the kill row, you love El Mandara's in here. Would you also include El Potente, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd use just those two
just
to
those
get
two,
out of that race.
Miramano Ramon just not winning enough for you?
No, I think he's got a shot, but I don't like his post position all that much. It kind of forces him to get into the race a little bit earlier, and if he gets too far back, he's not going to have a chance.
Okay. And then going into the Santa Anita handicap, how many are we using in here? There's 5 horses, friend.
I'd probably use 3.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, who are you using?
I would use Getaway Car and Vodka, and throw in British Isles as the wild card.
Okay.
As a long shot because of the fact that
so you're going to try to be Just a Touch today?
Yeah,
okay.
I think I am.
Okay.
Calling an audible.
Is Just a Touch a ruin your day kind of horse now?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great.
But the thing is,
no, but that's fair. I'm not
when
mad at
Sean Collins says something like definitively, it's true. He said it about sovereignty, and he's a monster. He says it about Just a Touch. I think he's correct.
Okay, there you go. I was going to ask if people were surprised they kept Giroux aboard when they knew Tyler was going to be here.
Yeah, that was a little strange.
But Tyler was going to be aboard Skippy, so I'm sure they didn't want to do all the politics of switching and doing all that stuff. But I might have done it just to see what happened.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe. Let's find out, right? In the last one, you and I did not talk about race 11, but to close the show here, Barry, again, Horse Racing Happy Hour. Thanks to our friends at Stockton Mortgage for hanging out with us. If you're anywhere, frankly, from about Michigan to Florida, you can get a great mortgage with our friends at Stockton Mortgage, and those rates are starting to drop, so go check them out. Who'd you land on in the finale, my friend?
You throw one downfield, going to the 6. Prince Dolce ran a good race last time, was claimed by Steve Knapp, who does pretty well first off the claim.
Yep.
And I think this horse has some potential to kind of break through here at a price in the last race like we got yesterday. I think we might get a price today too.
Cool thing about him too was a mile and an eighth, but he sat in the pocket the whole
he got a great trip. But that's a concern a little bit.
Sure, but Ricardo Gonzalez, man, he's been really consistent lately, and so I mean he's hitting the board at a very, very good percentage, and so I think that's not a bad play at all. And like you said, Steve Knapp, very good off the claim there. Well, happy Big Cap Day, buddy. I'm so glad we got you out here to Santa Anita Park. Just a spectacular venue here. And I want to make sure that we get our guy, Steve Unger, in here. I'd love to see Alma Joy pull the upset. Been a fan since Barry turned me on to her last year. And we did see her on the SoCal Saturdays quite a bit in those, in those Calbred races and that kind of stuff. And so very, very fun to see it that way. But race is underway here in about 25 minutes. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. He's Barry. He's Sean. I'm Louie. We'll see you very, very soon. Next time we leave together. Hey, go.
Secure freedom too.
Hey, all right. Sean, do you have a best bet of the day, do you think?
I bet Just a Touch to lose.
Yes. Okay. By the way, in that race, a fun thing to do in those races is either to put the 3 horses that you think can beat him, put him in second in the exact.
Yeah, but that's
just kind of single in the exact in the second spot. I actually don't think that's a bad play today.
Potente, El Potente. We heard it here first.
That's right. I forgot about that. There you go. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. This has been the Horse Racing Happy.